Manas, the legendary warrior, gazes toward the distant Tian Shan mountains, where a dark omen swirls in the sky. His steed, Akkula, stands strong beneath him as the golden steppe stretches into the horizon. The journey to face the dragon begins. The land of Kyrgyzstan is as vast as it is ancient. Towering peaks scrape the heavens, emerald valleys stretch endlessly, and rivers carve their way through the earth like veins of silver. The people of this land, the nomadic Kyrgyz, have lived here for generations, riding the wind like their fearless horses, their spirits as untamed as the eagles that soar above them. Yet, even in a land of warriors and free men, there are things that stir fear in the bravest of hearts. Legends speak of a creature, a beast born of fire and darkness, whose wings could eclipse the sun and whose breath could turn rivers to steam. Many believed it was just a story told to frighten children. But one day, the earth trembled, and the sky burned with an unnatural glow. Smoke coiled from the distant peaks, and the wind carried a terrible sound, a roar so deep it seemed to come from the very bones of the mountains. The dragon had awakened, and so, the people turned to the only man who could stand against such a force. They turned to Manas, a call to destiny. The elders gathered in the largest yurt, its thick felt walls barely muffling the growing unease outside. The tribe's horses stamped nervously, sensing the shift in the air. Women whispered prayers while sharpening their husbands' swords, and children clung to their mothers, their young faces reflecting a fear they didn't yet understand. Seated at the center of the yurt was Manas. He was no ordinary warrior. From the moment of his birth, it was said he was destined for greatness. Even as a child, his hands had gripped a bow with the steadiness of an old hunter, and by the time he was a young man, no warrior in the land could match him in battle. He was fierce, yet just. A leader, yet a man of the people. Now, the weight of his people's survival rested on his broad shoulders. "The mountain speaks," the elder said, his weathered face illuminated by the flickering firelight. "The dragon stirs. If we do not stop it, our pastures will burn, our rivers will boil, and our yurts will be nothing but ash." Manas met the elder's gaze and nodded. His heart had already made its decision. "I will go," he said simply. The yurt fell silent. There was no need for flowery speeches or dramatic proclamations. He was Manas. Of course, he would go. The journey into darkness. At dawn, Manas rode out, the wind cold against his skin as he galloped across the vast steppe. His horse, Akkula, was his closest companion, strong, swift, and as fearless as his master. The sky stretched endlessly above him, the mountains looming ahead like ancient guardians watching his path. Manas rides his loyal steed, Akkula, across the boundless Kyrgyz steppe, heading toward the forbidden peaks. The golden fields and towering mountains set the stage for his fateful journey. The journey was long, the terrain treacherous. Rivers had to be crossed, their icy waters biting at his legs. The forests whispered around him, filled with unseen creatures moving in the shadows. But Manas pressed on, his mind focused only on his mission. As he climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew thick with the scent of sulfur. The land itself seemed wounded, blackened trees, scorched earth, and a silence that felt unnatural. Then, he saw it. At the mouth of a massive cavern, smoke curled lazily from the ground, and the very rocks seemed to pulse with a dim, hellish glow. The lair of the dragon. He was not afraid, but he knew the true battle had only just begun. The beast awakens. Manas stepped forward, his sword drawn, his grip firm. The ground trembled beneath his feet. The air grew heavy, charged with something ancient and powerful. Then, from the depths of the cavern, two eyes blazed like molten gold. The monstrous dragon emerges from its fiery lair, its golden eyes burning with fury. Manas stands his ground, his sword drawn, as the wind howls through the mountains, signaling the beginning of an epic battle. The dragon emerged. It was massive, larger than the greatest yurt, its wings casting an eerie shadow against the mountainside. Its scales shimmered like obsidian, reflecting the dim light in jagged flashes. Its breath came in deep, rolling waves of heat, and when it opened its mouth, fire licked at the edges of its massive fangs. Manas had faced men, beasts, and the fury of nature itself. But nothing compared to the presence of this creature. It let out a roar, the sheer force of it sending rocks tumbling from the cliffs above. Manas held his ground, his eyes locked onto the beast. Then, the dragon struck. A torrent of fire exploded toward him, turning the very air into a furnace. Manas leapt aside, rolling across the scorched earth as flames licked at his heels. He lunged forward, his sword flashing in an arc, striking the dragon's thick hide. The blade barely made a scratch. The battle had begun. A battle of fire and steel. The fight raged through the night, man and beast locked in a deadly dance. The dragon's tail crashed against the ground, sending shockwaves through the earth. Manas dodged, striking where he could, but the creature was swift, its massive body moving with unnatural grace. Manas faces the dragon in a battle of fire and steel. The beast roars, wings spread wide, as flames engulf the battlefield. Manas, his sword glowing with an ethereal light, stands undaunted against the monstrous foe. Manas climbed onto the dragon's back, driving his sword between its scales. The beast roared in pain, thrashing wildly. But it was not enough. Then, in his mind, he heard a voice, the voice of the elder, the voice of his ancestors. "You are chosen by the gods." A surge of strength filled his limbs. His sword glowed with an ethereal light, the power of the land itself flowing through him. With one final, mighty thrust, he drove his blade into the dragon's heart. The dragon let out a final, terrible cry, its body convulsing before collapsing to the ground. The fire in its eyes dimmed. The beast was dead, a warrior's return. The sun rose over the mountains as Manas descended, his body weary but his spirit victorious. The dragon was no more, and the land was safe. When he returned, the people rejoiced. Feasts were held, songs were sung, and his name was etched into the very soul of the Kyrgyz people. Manas returns victorious, riding his horse, Akkula, through the golden steppe. His people gather in celebration, banners waving in the wind as elders and children alike welcome their hero home. But Manas did not stay to bask in his glory. He was a warrior, a protector, a legend still in the making. And so, he rode once more, vanishing into the endless horizon, leaving behind only stories that would be told for generations. The wind carried his name across the steppes, and the mountains whispered his tale. The tale of Manas, the dragon slayer. The end.